Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his hands as he looked out the window of the UES Explorer. The ship floated in space next to the biggest alien vessel he had ever seen. The Zalathi ship looked like a giant crystal palace made of ice and light. It was beautiful and scary at the same time. "Ready for this, Jake?" asked Dr. Kevin Barnes, the chief medical officer. The older man looked nervous too. "First contact with aliens. This is history in the making." Jake nodded and picked up his medical bag. "Just another day at the office, right?" He tried to joke, but his voice shook a little. 3 months ago, he was just a regular medic on Earth. Now he was about to meet real aliens. Captain Lisa Hayes walked into the medical bay. She was a tough woman who never showed fear, but today Jake could see worry in her eyes. "The Zalathi have agreed to let us help with their queen's illness. This could make or break our chances of peace with them. Don't mess this up." "No pressure at all," Jake said with a weak smile. The transport shuttle took them to the Zalathi ship. When the doors opened, Jake's breath caught in his throat. The aliens were tall and thin with skin that looked like clear crystal. Light moved under their skin in soft colors. They were the most beautiful creatures he had ever seen. A Zalathi female stepped forward. She was shorter than the others, maybe 6 feet tall. Her crystal skin had a soft blue glow and her eyes were large and silver. She wore flowing white robes that seemed to float around her. "I am Nithka," she said in perfect English. Her voice sounded like music. "I am the royal nurse to Queen Veshtel. You must be the human healers." Dr. Barnes stepped forward and bowed. "I am Dr. Kevin Barnes, and this is Jake Morrison, our best medic." Nithka looked at Jake with curious eyes. "A medic, you are young. Age doesn't matter when someone needs help," Jake said. He tried to sound confident, but inside he felt like a kid pretending to be an adult. Nithka's skin flickered with yellow light for a moment. Jake wondered what that meant. "Come. The queen is very sick. We have tried everything our medicine knows, but nothing works." They walked through halls that looked like they were made of living crystal. The walls glowed with soft light, and Jake could hear something like music in the air. Other Zalathi watched them pass. Some looked curious, others looked worried or angry. "Your people don't all want us here," Jake said quietly to Nithka as they walked. "Change is hard," she replied. "Some believe humans are too different from us. But the queen believes that different minds might find different answers." They entered a huge room with a crystal dome ceiling. In the center was a bed that looked like it was carved from a single piece of white stone. On it lay the most amazing alien Jake had ever seen. Queen Veshtel was tall even lying down. Her crystal skin was pale and had dark spots moving under it like shadows. Her breathing was shallow and fast. Even sick, she looked like a queen from a fairy tale. "Your Majesty," Dr. Barnes said with a bow, "we are here to help." The queen's silver eyes opened and looked at them. When she spoke, her voice was weak but kind. "Human healers, I hope your different ways can save me where our medicine has failed." Nithka moved to the queen's side and started checking her vital signs with tools that looked like glowing crystals. "Her body temperature keeps changing. Sometimes too hot, sometimes too cold. She cannot keep food down and she sleeps very little." Dr. Barnes pulled out his scanner and ran it over the queen. "Jake, can you hand me the blood sampler?" Jake reached into his bag and pulled out the device. As he handed it to Dr. Barnes, Nithka asked, "What does this tool do?" "It takes a tiny bit of blood to test," Jake explained. "We can learn a lot about what's wrong from blood." "Interesting," Nithka said. "May I see how it works?" Jake looked at Dr. Barnes, who nodded. "Sure. You hold it like this and press this button. It's very gentle." As Jake showed her the device, Nithka accidentally dropped one of her crystal tools. Jake bent down to pick it up at the same time she did. Their hands touched for a moment. Her skin felt warm and smooth, like touching water made solid. "Sorry," Jake said, standing up and handing her the tool. "Thank you," Nithka said. Her skin flickered with pink light. "Could you please help me move the queen so we can check her back for more symptoms?" Jake moved to help without thinking. "Yes, dear," he said automatically. It was something he said to everyone when they asked for help, his mom, his sister, his co-workers. Just a normal way of saying, "Sure, I'll help." But the moment the words left his mouth, everything changed. Nithka froze. Her crystal skin suddenly blazed with bright purple light. Other Zalathi in the room gasped and started talking in their own language very fast. "What did I say?" Jake asked, confused and worried. Nithka turned to look at him with wide silver eyes. Her skin was still glowing purple, and she looked shocked and happy at the same time. You just accepted the healing bond," she whispered. "The what now?" Jake looked around the room. All the Zalathi were staring at him. Some looked happy, others looked angry, and a few looked shocked. Queen Veshtel struggled to sit up in her bed. Despite being sick, she smiled. "Young human, do you know what you have just done?" "I have no idea," Jake said honestly. "I just said I'd help. That's what I always say." Nithka's skin was still glowing as she spoke to the queen in their language. The queen listened and then laughed, which turned into a cough. "Nithka has just told me that you accepted her request for a life partnership in the ancient way," the queen said. "When a healer asks for help and the other responds with "Yes, dear," it is our oldest form of accepting a bond between healers and mates." Jake felt his face go white. "But I didn't know. I was just being polite." Dr. Barnes grabbed Jake's arm. "What have you done?" Before anyone could answer, a tall Zalathi male with angry red light under his skin stepped forward. "This is an insult. A human cannot bond with one of our royal healers. This must be stopped." But Nithka stepped between Jake and the angry alien. Her skin blazed even brighter purple. "Lord Kethmore, the bond was offered and accepted according to our oldest laws. The human may not have known our ways, but the words were spoken freely." "This is madness," Lord Kethmore shouted. "A human and a Zalathi? It is not natural." Queen Veshtel raised her hand, and everyone got quiet. "The bond has been spoken. Our laws are clear. But..." She looked at Jake with tired but kind eyes. "The human did not know our ways. We must decide what to do." Jake looked at Nithka, who was still glowing purple and looking at him with hope in her silver eyes. He looked at Dr. Barnes, who looked ready to faint. He looked at the angry lord and the confused other aliens. "I don't understand what just happened," Jake said slowly. "But I came here to help save the queen. That's all I want to do." Nithka's skin flickered with golden light. "Then we will work together to heal our queen, and perhaps we will learn about each other too." Lord Kethmore made an angry sound and stormed out of the room. Several other Zalathi followed him. "Well," Dr. Barnes said quietly to Jake, "I've seen a lot of things in my career, but this is a first." Jake looked at Nithka again. She was beautiful and seemed kind, but she was an alien. How could this possibly work? "One step at a time," Jake said to himself. "First, save the queen, then figure out the rest." But as he watched Nithka prepare her tools with graceful movements, her skin still glowing with soft purple light, Jake wondered if maybe, just maybe, this crazy situation might not be the worst thing that ever happened to him. Jake spent the night in a guest room on the Zalathi ship. The bed was made of some kind of soft crystal that molded to his body. It should have been comfortable, but he barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Nithka's glowing purple skin and remembered the shocked faces of the other aliens. The next morning, Dr. Barnes found him in the medical bay looking tired and worried. "Jake, we need to talk," the older man said. "Captain Hayes got a message from Earth Command. Admiral, Scott Turner is coming here personally. This situation has gone way above our heads." "Great," Jake said, rubbing his eyes. "So I accidentally got engaged to an alien, and now the Admiral wants to get involved. This day is off to a perfect start." "It's not funny, Jake. The peace talks between humans and Zalathi are hanging by a thread. Half their nobles think you insulted their culture. The other half think Nithka has lost her mind. Before Jake could reply, the medical bay doors opened. Nithka walked in carrying a tray of strange-looking instruments. Her skin had a soft blue glow this morning, calmer than the bright purple from yesterday. "Good morning," she said politely. "I brought some Zalathi medical tools. I thought we could compare them with your human devices." Dr. Barnes looked between Jake and Nithka awkwardly. "I'll just go check on the Queen," he said, and quickly left the room. Jake and Nithka stood alone together for the first time. The silence felt heavy. "Look," Jake started, "about yesterday. I really didn't know what I was saying meant." "I know," Nithka interrupted gently. "I could tell from your face you looked very confused. Then why didn't you stop me? Why didn't you explain before I said anything?" Nithka's skin flickered with pink light. She looked down at her hands. "Because I had been watching you since you arrived. The way you care for others. The way you make jokes when you are nervous. The way you treat everyone with kindness even when you are scared." Jake stared at her. "You were watching me?" "Royal nurses are trained to read people. It is part of our job to understand who can be trusted near the Queen." She looked up at him with her silver eyes. "I saw something good in you. When you said those words, I hoped maybe we could learn to understand each other. But we're different species," Jake said. "I don't even know if we can eat the same food or breathe the same air comfortably for long periods." "We are both healers," Nithka replied. "We both want to help others. Maybe that matters more than the differences." Before Jake could respond, alarms started ringing throughout the ship. The crystal walls flashed red light. "The Queen!" Nithka gasped and ran toward the royal chambers. Jake followed her. They found Queen Veshtel unconscious on her crystal bed. Her skin had turned almost black and her breathing was very shallow. Dr. Barnes was already there with his scanner. "Her temperature is dropping fast," Dr. Barnes said. "Whatever is making her sick is getting worse." Nithka moved to the Queen's side and placed her hands on the royal's forehead. Her skin glowed white as she tried to use some kind of Zalathi healing technique. "I cannot reach her mind. She is too far gone." "What about that machine?" Jake pointed to a large crystal device next to the bed. "What does it do?" "It reads life energy," Nithka explained, "but it only tells us what we already know. She is dying." Jake looked at the readings on Dr. Barnes's scanner and then at the Zalathi life energy machine. Something seemed familiar about the patterns. "Wait a minute," he said. "Dr. Barnes, look, at these energy spikes. They happen every 47 minutes. "You're right," Dr. Barnes said, studying the data. "That's too regular to be natural." Nithka looked confused. "What do you mean?" "In human medicine, when we see patterns like this, it usually means poison," Jake explained. "Something is being introduced into her system on a regular schedule." "Impossible," said a voice from the doorway. Lord Kethmore entered the room with several other Zalathi nobles. "No one would dare poison our Queen, and no one has access to her except trusted servants." "Then how do you explain these readings?" Jake asked, showing him the scanner data. Lord Kethmore's skin flashed angry red. "I do not trust human devices. They cannot understand Zalathi biology." "But they match our own machines," Nithka said quietly. She was looking at both sets of readings with growing understanding. "The human is right. These patterns show something being added to the Queen's system regularly." "This is nonsense," Lord Kethmore snapped. "I will not listen to wild theories from an outsider who has already insulted our customs." Jake felt his temper rising. "I'm trying to save your Queen's life." "Enough." The weak voice came from the bed. Queen Veshtel had opened her eyes. "I may be dying, but I am not dead yet. Let the human speak." Jake took a deep breath. "Your Majesty, someone is poisoning you. Small amounts, given regularly. That's why you get worse at the same times every day." The Queen tried to sit up, but she was too weak. Nithka helped support her. "Who would do such a thing?" "Someone with regular access to your food or medicine," Dr. Barnes said. "Someone you trust." Lord Kethmore stepped forward angrily. "How dare you accuse—" "I accuse no one yet," Jake interrupted. "But we need to test everything the Queen eats and drinks, and we need to do it fast." For the next few hours, Jake and Nithka worked together testing everything in the royal chambers. Jake was amazed at how quickly Nithka learned to use human medical equipment. She was smart and careful, and she asked good questions. "Your people's medicine is very different from ours," she said as they tested another sample. "You focus on the tiny parts of the body. We focus on the energy that flows through all living things. Maybe that's why we need each other," Jake said. "My people see the trees. Your people see the forest." Nithka's skin glowed soft gold. "That is a beautiful way to say it." They found the poison in the Queen's evening tea. It was a plant extract that was harmless to most Zalathi but deadly to someone with the Queen's rare blood type. "Someone who knows the Queen very well did this," Nithka said sadly. "They knew exactly what would hurt her, and when she drank her tea." When they reported their findings, Lord Kethmore became even more angry. "This is impossible. The evening tea is prepared by the same servants who have worked in the royal kitchen for years. They are all loyal. Then we need to watch them," Jake said. "Tonight, when they prepare the tea." "A human spy on our royal servants?" Lord Kethmore's skin blazed red. "Never. But Queen Veshtel, though weak, was still the ruler. It will be done. Nithka will watch the kitchen with the human. If there is a traitor among us, we must find them." That evening, Jake and Nithka hid where they could see the royal kitchen. Jake watched the servants prepare the tea while Nithka used her ability to read people's emotions through their skin color. "That one," she whispered, pointing to an older female servant. "Her skin keeps flashing with guilt and fear." They watched as the servant added something extra to the tea when the others weren't looking. Jake quickly took pictures with his scanner. "We have to stop her," Jake whispered. "Wait," Nithka said. "I want to see who she gives the tea to." They followed the servant as she carried the tea tray to the royal chambers. But instead of going directly to the Queen, she stopped at Lord Kethmore's private office. Through the crystal walls, they could see her hand the tea to the Lord himself. He said something to her and gave her a small bag that clinked like money. "Lord Kethmore," Nithka breathed. "He is the one trying to kill the Queen." Jake felt sick. But why? He's one of her advisors. "He has always opposed making peace with humans," Nithka said. "If the Queen dies, her cousin will become the new ruler, and the cousin hates all aliens." They watched as Lord Kethmore personally carried the poisoned tea toward the Queen's chambers. "We have to stop him," Jake said. They ran ahead and reached the Queen's room first. Dr. Barnes was there checking on his patient. "Don't let her drink the tea," Jake shouted as he burst through the doors. Lord Kethmore arrived a moment later with the tea tray. "What is the meaning of this?" "You're trying to poison the Queen," Jake said. "We saw you pay the servant to add something to the tea." Lord Kethmore's skin went dark red with rage. "How dare you accuse me? Guards!" But Nithka stepped between them. Her skin was blazing white with anger. "I saw you too, Kethmore. You have betrayed everything we stand for. You choose to believe this human over me?" Lord Kethmore snarled. "You have been corrupted by their influence." "Test the tea," Queen Veshtel said weakly from her bed. "If it is clean, the human will apologize. If it is poisoned, we will know the truth." Jake quickly tested the tea with his scanner. The readings were clear, the same poison they had found before. "Poison," he announced. Lord Kethmore looked around the room desperately. Then he pulled out a crystal weapon and pointed it at Jake. "You have ruined everything," he screamed. "Humans will destroy our way of life. I did this to save our people." "By murdering your queen?" Nithka asked in horror. "By stopping this foolish alliance," Lord Kethmore replied. Before anyone could move, he fired the weapon at Jake. But Nithka threw herself in front of the energy blast. The beam hit her in the shoulder and she fell to the ground. "Nithka!" Jake dropped to his knees beside her. Her shoulder was badly burned, and her skin was flickering between different colors with pain. Dr. Barnes tackled Lord Kethmore while guards rushed in to arrest him. But Jake only had eyes for Nithka. "Why did you do that?" he asked, pressing his hands. Jake worked through the night to save Nithka's life. The energy weapon had burned deep into her shoulder, damaging both muscle and bone. Human medicine and Zalathi healing techniques were very different, but Jake was determined to use both. "Hold still," he told her gently as he cleaned the wound. "This is going to hurt." Nithka's skin flickered with pain, but she didn't cry out. "I have been hurt worse during my training. Royal nurses must be strong." Dr. Barnes helped by monitoring her vital signs while Jake worked. "Her biology is similar to ours, but not exactly the same," he said quietly. "Her blood clots faster, but she loses body heat more quickly when injured." Jake had an idea. "Nithka, do your people have any healing crystals or energy devices that could help repair tissue?" "Yes, but they only work when guided by a trained healer, and I cannot heal myself properly while I am hurt like this." "What if I guided the device? Could you teach me?" Nithka looked surprised. "A human using Zalathi healing crystals? I do not know if it is possible." "Let's find out," Jake said. "The worst that happens is it doesn't work. The best that happens is you get better faster." Nithka directed him to a small crystal device that looked like a clear stone with light inside it. "Hold it over the wound and think about healing. Picture the damaged tissue becoming whole again. Feel the energy flowing from the crystal into my body." Jake felt a little silly at first, but as he held the crystal and concentrated, he began to feel something. A warm tingling in his hands, like electricity but gentler. The crystal started to glow brighter. "It's working," Nithka whispered in amazement. "I can feel the healing energy, but how is this possible?" "Maybe healing is healing no matter what species does it," Jake said. He could see the wound starting to close under the crystal's light. "We both want to help people get better. Maybe that's enough." Over the next few days, Jake split his time between helping Nithka recover and working with Dr. Barnes to treat Queen Veshtel. With the poison removed from her system, the queen was getting stronger, but she was still very weak. Admiral Scott Turner arrived from Earth Command with a whole fleet of ships. He was a tall, stern man with gray hair and cold eyes. Jake didn't like him from the moment they met. "Morrison," the admiral said when Jake reported to him, "you've certainly caused quite a stir. Half the Zalathi nobles want you executed for insulting their culture. The other half think you're some kind of hero for saving their queen." "I just did my job, sir," Jake replied. "Your job was to provide medical assistance, not to get engaged to an alien," Admiral Turner snapped. "Do you have any idea how complicated this makes our negotiations?" "With respect, sir, I didn't know about their customs. It was an honest mistake." Admiral Turner walked around Jake like he was inspecting him. "Maybe. But now we can use this situation to our advantage. The Zalathi take these partnership bonds very seriously. If you stay bonded to this nurse, we'll have a direct connection to their royal family." Jake felt uncomfortable. "Sir, I don't think I should use Nithka for political reasons." "You'll do what's best for humanity, Morrison. That's an order." After the meeting, Jake went to check on Nithka. She was sitting up in her medical bed, her shoulder wrapped in both human bandages and Zalathi healing cloth. Her skin had a healthy blue glow again. "You look better," Jake said, sitting in a chair next to her bed. "Thanks to you," she replied. "I never imagined a human could use our healing crystals. My people will be very interested to learn about this." "Speaking of your people, how do they really feel about us being bonded? I mean, besides the political stuff?" Nithka was quiet for a moment. "Some think it is wonderful, a sign that our species can truly become friends. Others think it is dangerous. They worry that humans and Zalathi are too different to understand each other." "What do you think?" "I think," she said, her skin glowing soft gold, "that you risked your life to save my queen. You worked all night to heal my injury. You learned to use our healing crystals in hours when it takes our people years. These are not the actions of someone who is too different from us." Jake felt warm inside when she said that. "Admiral Turner wants me to stay bonded to you for political reasons, to help with the alliance between our peoples." Nithka's skin flickered with hurt. "Is that the only reason you would stay?" Jake looked into her silver eyes. Over the past few days, he had learned to read some of her expressions. Right now, she looked hopeful and afraid at the same time. "No," he said honestly. "I like you. Shauthka. I like working with you. I like how smart you are and how much you care about others. I like how your skin glows when you're happy. If we're going to be bonded, I want it to be real, not just for politics." Her skin blazed bright purple with joy. "Really?" "Really. But I have to ask you something. Do you want this bond because you actually like me? Or because I'm exotic and different?" "I want this bond," she said seriously, "because when I am with you, I feel like I can be myself. You do not care that I am royal or that I am supposed to act a certain way. You treat me like a person, not like a title." Before Jake could reply, Dr. Barnes burst into the medical bay. "Jake, you need to come quickly. Something's wrong with the Queen again." They rushed to the royal chambers to find Queen Veshtel unconscious once more. But this time was different. Her skin was glowing very brightly, cycling through all the colors Jake had ever seen a Zalathi display. "What's happening to her?" Jake asked. A new Zalathi had arrived, an elderly female with skin that glowed with wisdom white. "I am Elder Nithvel, grandmother to Nithka and senior healer of our people. The Queen is not dying. She is changing." "Changing how?" Dr. Barnes asked. "The poison damaged something inside her that we call the life spark. Her body is trying to repair itself, but it cannot do so safely while she is conscious. This is very dangerous. If we cannot help guide the healing, she will die." "What do you need us to do?" Jake asked. "This kind of healing requires multiple healers working together. We need someone who understands both human and Zalathi medicine." Elder Nithvel looked at Jake and Nithka. "We need your bond." "Our bond?" Nithka asked, confused. When two healers are truly bonded, they can combine their abilities. Human medicine understands the physical body. Zalathi medicine understands the life energy. Together, you might be able to save her. Jake looked at Nithka. "Are you strong enough for this?" "I have to be," she replied. "She is my queen." Elder Nithvel had them sit on either side of Queen Veshtel's bed, holding hands across the royal's body. "Close your eyes and feel each other's presence. Let your healing knowledge flow between you." At first, Jake felt nothing except Nithka's warm hand in his. Then slowly, he began to sense something else. It was like seeing Nithka's thoughts, but not exactly. He could feel her knowledge of Zalathi biology, her understanding of how life energy moved through living beings. At the same time, he felt his own medical training flowing toward her. Knowledge of blood circulation, nervous system, cellular repair, information about medicines and techniques that could heal the body. "I can see it," Nithka whispered. "I can see how her human-style injuries need to be healed while her life spark repairs itself. And I can see the energy patterns," Jake replied in wonder. "I understand how they connect to the physical damage." Working together, they guided Queen Veshtel's healing. Jake used his medical knowledge to help her body repair the poison damage. Nithka used her energy healing to help the Queen's life spark grow strong again. Their different approaches supported each other like two sides of the same treatment. After what felt like hours, the Queen's skin settled into a healthy silver glow. Her breathing became deep and regular. The crisis was over. "Remarkable," said Elder Nithvel. "I have never seen anything like this. You truly are bonded, not just in ceremony, but in ability." Queen Veshtel opened her eyes and smiled weakly. "I dreamed I could feel both of you healing me. Human logic and Zalathi wisdom working as one." Later, as Jake and Nithka sat together in the observation deck looking out at the stars, she asked him a question that had been on her mind. "Jake, when this crisis is over, what will happen to us? Will you go back to Earth?" Jake thought about it. On Earth, he was just another medic. Here, working with Nithka, he felt like they could discover new ways to heal that neither species had ever imagined. "I think," he said slowly, "that maybe our bond could help more people than just each other. What if we worked together to combine human and Zalathi medicine? We could help both our peoples." Nithka's skin glowed bright gold with excitement. A joint medical research facility. Human and Zalathi healers working together. Exactly. We could be the first of many partnerships between our species. As they talked about their dreams for the future, neither of them noticed the shadow watching them from the doorway. Not all of the Queen's enemies had been caught, and some people still wanted to stop the alliance between humans and Zalathi. The real test of their bond was still to come. 3 weeks had passed since Lord Kethmore's arrest. Queen Veshtel was almost fully recovered, and the alliance talks between humans and Zalathi were going well. Jake thought the worst was over. He was wrong. The attack came during the signing ceremony for the peace treaty. Jake was standing with Nithka and the other medical staff when explosions rocked the Zalathi ship. Emergency lights flashed red and alarms blared throughout the crystal halls. "Terrorist attack," someone shouted. "Zalathi rebels and human separatists, working together." Jake grabbed Nithka's hand as panicked people ran in all directions. "We need to get to the medical bay. There will be injured people." But before they could move, armed figures in dark masks surrounded them. Half looked human, half looked Zalathi. They carried weapons from both species. "Jake Morrison," said the leader, a human man with cold eyes. "You're coming with us." "Leave him alone." Nithka stepped in front of Jake, her skin blazing with angry white light. "The alien freak, too," the leader said. "Our employers want both of you." Jake realized these weren't random terrorists. Someone had planned this specifically to capture him and Nithka. "Who's paying you?" "People who think humans and aliens should stay separate," the leader replied. "Your little romance is giving other people dangerous ideas." The terrorists forced them through the damaged ship to a small transport vessel. As they flew away from the Zalathi ship, Jake could see the damage. From the explosions, several sections were badly hurt, and he worried about all the people who might be injured. "Where are you taking us?" Nithka demanded. "Somewhere quiet where you can think about the harm you're causing," said one of the Zalathi terrorists. "This alliance will destroy both our people's purity." They were taken to a hidden base on a small moon. The terrorists locked them in a cell made of metal and crystal bars. It was clearly designed to hold both humans and Zalathi. "This is very planned," Jake said quietly to Nithka. "They've been preparing for this for a long time." "Too planned," Nithka agreed. "Someone with access to both human and Zalathi technology helped them build this place." Over the next few days, Jake and Nithka learned more about their captors. The group was led by a human admiral named Robert Shaw and a Zalathi noble named Lady Kestal. Both believed that mixing the species would weaken them. "You don't understand what you're doing," Admiral Shaw told them during one of his visits. "Humans have been the strongest species in our part of space because we stayed pure. If we start mixing with aliens, we'll lose what makes us special. And Zalathi have remained wise and peaceful because we kept our culture clean." Lady Kestal added, "Your bond pollutes everything we stand for." Jake was angry, but he tried to stay calm. "You're wrong. Working together makes us stronger, not weaker." "Look at me," Nithka said, her skin glowing with determination. "I can now use human medical techniques. Jake can use our healing crystals. Together we saved our queen's life. How is that weakness?" "It's corruption," Admiral Shaw snapped. "You've lost your identity as a true Zalathi, and Morrison has forgotten what it means to be human." The terrorists had a plan. They wanted to force Jake and Nithka to publicly break their bond and speak against the alliance. If they refused, the terrorists would kill innocent people from both species. "We have bombs on 3 human colonies and 2 Zalathi worlds," Lady Kestal explained. "Say that species mixing is wrong, break your bond, and no one gets hurt." Jake felt sick. "You would murder millions of people just to stop an alliance?" "We would save billions from the corruption that will follow," Admiral Shaw replied. That night, alone in their cell, Jake and Nithka tried to figure out what to do. "We can't let them hurt innocent people because of us," Jake said. "But if we do what they want, it will destroy the alliance anyway," Nithka replied. "Many people barely accept our bond now. If we say it was wrong, they will never trust humans, and Zalathi working together again." Jake paced around the small cell. There has to be another way. Maybe there is, Nithka said thoughtfully. These terrorists think our bond makes us weak, but what if they're wrong? What if it makes us stronger than they can imagine? What do you mean? When we healed the Queen together, we could share knowledge and abilities. What if we could do more than that? Jake sat down next to her. You think we could escape using our bond somehow? The guards check on us every few hours. They think we're just a medic and a nurse. They don't understand what we can do together. They spent the rest of the night planning. When the guards brought them food the next morning, Jake and Nithka were ready. Jake pretended to be sick, clutching his stomach and groaning. Something's wrong with the food. I think I'm having an allergic reaction. The guards opened the cell to check on him. As soon as they were close enough, Nithka used her healing crystals, not to heal, but to create a bright flash of light that blinded the guards temporarily. Jake, who had been pretending to be sick, jumped up and fought the confused guards. Nithka helped by using her knowledge of Zalathi pressure points to quickly knock them unconscious. That worked better than I hoped, Jake said as they took the guards' weapons and keys. Phase 1 complete, Nithka replied with a grin. Now for the hard part. They made their way through the terrorist base trying to find the communication center. They needed to warn both species about the bombs and call for help. But the base was full of armed terrorists, and Jake and Nithka were just 2 people. There! Nithka pointed to a room full of communication equipment. But there are too many guards. Jake had an idea. What if we used our bond like we did with the Queen, but instead of healing, we worked together to fight? I don't understand. You know Zalathi fighting techniques. I know human combat training. If we share that knowledge like we shared medical knowledge, Nithka's skin glowed with understanding. We become something neither human nor Zalathi fighters have faced before. They held hands and concentrated, feeling their different fighting skills flow between them. Jake suddenly knew how to move with Zalathi grace and speed. Nithka gained human tactical thinking and strength techniques. When they attacked the communication room, the terrorists were completely unprepared. Jake fought with moves that combined human and Zalathi martial arts. Nithka used strategies that mixed both species' military knowledge. They moved together like they had been fighting as a team for years. Within minutes, they had taken control of the communication center. This is Jake Morrison calling any human or Zalathi ships, Jake said into the transmitter. We've been captured by terrorists who have planted bombs on several worlds. I'm sending you the location of their base and information about their plans. While Jake sent the warnings, Nithka used Zalathi communication methods to contact her people. Within an hour, rescue ships from both species were on their way. But Admiral Shaw and Lady Kestal weren't done fighting. You've ruined everything, Shaw screamed as he and a group of terrorists stormed into the communication room. Now, we'll have to set off all the bombs at once. You're insane, Jake shouted. We're saving our species from contamination, Lady Kestal replied. The final battle was intense. Jake and Nithka fought side by side, their combined abilities letting them hold off twice as many enemies. But they were getting tired, and more terrorists kept coming. Just when things looked hopeless, the rescue ships arrived. Human Marines and Zalathi warriors stormed the base together, fighting as allies to save both Jake and Nithka and stop the bombs. Admiral Turner and Queen Veshtel personally led the rescue mission. Are you two all right? The Queen asked as they were freed from the terrorist base. We're fine, Jake replied. But more importantly, we learned something. Our bond isn't just about politics or romance. It makes us stronger in ways we never imagined. Stronger how? Admiral Turner asked. Nithka's skin glowed with excitement. We can share abilities, knowledge, even fighting skills. What if this is just the beginning? What if humans and Zalathi working together could solve problems neither species could handle alone? As they flew back to the main ships, Jake realized that their ordeal had changed everything. The terrorists had tried to prove that human-Zalathi bonds were weakness. Instead, they had proven they were strength. So what happens now? Jake asked Nithka as they watched the stars together. Now, she said, her skin glowing with hope. We show both our peoples what we can really accomplish together. But Jake knew their biggest challenge was still ahead. Proving their bond worked in a crisis was one thing. Building a life together and creating lasting change between their species would be much harder. 2 years later, Jake stood in the main laboratory of the human Zalathi Medical Research Station. The facility orbited between Earth and the Zalathi homeworld, a symbol of cooperation between the two species. Through the large windows, he could see ships from both civilizations coming and going peacefully. "Jake, come look at this," Nithka called from across the lab. Her skin glowed with excitement as she looked at test results on both human computers and Zalathi crystal displays. Jake walked over to her, still amazed by how natural it felt to work together after all this time. "What did you find?" "The regeneration serum is working. The human patient with the spinal injury and the Zalathi patient with damaged life crystals are both healing faster than we hoped." Jake looked at the data and smiled. Combining human stem cell research with Zalathi energy healing. 6 months ago, people said it was impossible. "People say a lot of things are impossible," Nithka replied, her skin flickering with amusement. "Including human Zalathi partnerships." Their research station had become famous throughout both civilizations. Diseases that had killed humans for centuries were being cured using Zalathi life energy techniques. Zalathi conditions that their healers couldn't fix were responding to human medical technology. Jake and Nithka had trained dozens of mixed human Zalathi medical teams. "Dr. Morris and Dr. Nithka," called a voice from the lab entrance. Ben Carter, Jake's old friend who had joined the station as a communications officer, walked in with a message pad. "You have visitors, important ones." Jake and Nithka exchanged glances. Important visitors usually meant either very good news or very big problems. They walked to the main docking bay to find Admiral Turner and Queen Veshtel stepping off their ships together. Both leaders looked serious, but not angry. "Your Majesty." "Admiral," Jake said with a bow. "This is an unexpected honor." "Jake, Nithka," Queen Veshtel said warmly. "We come with news that will affect both of you greatly." Admiral Turner stepped forward. "The Galactic Council has been watching your work here. 3 other species have requested permission to join your medical research program." Jake felt his heart race. 3 other species? The Kavari, the Methan, and the Zephyrians, the Queen explained. "All of them have seen what human Zalathi cooperation can accomplish. They want to learn these techniques." Nithka's skin glowed bright gold with excitement. This could change medicine throughout the galaxy. "That's exactly what the Council hopes," Admiral Turner said. "But they want to make sure this expansion is led by people they trust. People who understand what it means to work across species barriers. They want you two to head the new Galactic Medical Alliance," Queen Veshtel announced. Jake felt overwhelmed. 2 years ago, he had been a simple medic making a joke that accidentally changed his life. Now he was being asked to lead medical cooperation for multiple alien species. "What about our research here?" Nithka asked. "We're so close to breakthroughs in dozens of areas." "You would continue that work," the Queen assured her, "but you would also oversee similar research stations throughout the galaxy. Think of it: human adaptability, Zalathi energy healing, Kavari genetic therapy, Methan neural medicine, and Zephyrian bioengineering all working together." That evening, Jake and Nithka sat in their private quarters discussing the offer. Over the past 2 years, their relationship had grown deeper. They had learned each other's languages, customs, and dreams. Jake could now read Nithka's skin color, emotions perfectly, and she understood all his human expressions and jokes. "It's a big responsibility," Jake said as they looked out at the stars. "Leading medical research for 5 different species." "It is," Nithka agreed. "But think of how many lives we could save, how much suffering we could prevent. Are you ready to spend the rest of your life traveling between different worlds, dealing with politics and bureaucracy instead of just helping patients?" Nithka was quiet for a moment, her skin cycling through thoughtful blue and silver colors. "Jake, what do you think our bond really means?" "What do you mean?" "When we first met, it was an accident. But everything that happened after, Saving the Queen, stopping the terrorists, building this research station. None of that was accident. We choose every day to work together, to trust each other, to build something bigger than either of us could make alone. Jake nodded. So you think we should accept? I think, Nithka said, her skin glowing warm gold, that maybe our bond was meant to be about more than just us. Maybe it was meant to show that different species can not only coexist, but create something beautiful together. The next morning they gave their answer to Queen Veshtel and Admiral Turner. We accept, Jake said, but we have conditions. Name them, Admiral Turner replied. First, the medical stations must remain independent of political control. We make decisions based on medical need, not politics. Second, Nithka added, any species that joins must agree to share their medical knowledge freely with all others. No secrets, no holding back techniques that could save lives. And third, Jake continued, we want to establish an exchange program. Young healers from all species will train together, learning from each other's cultures and techniques. Queen Veshtel smiled. The council predicted you would have conditions like these. They have agreed in advance. 5 years later, Jake stood in the main assembly hall of the Galactic Medical Center, watching representatives from 12 different species work together to solve a crisis on a distant world. A plague had broken out that none of the species could cure alone, but their combined knowledge had found a treatment. Still amazed by all this? Asked a familiar voice behind him. Jake turned to see Dr. Barnes, now retired but visiting the station. Every day, Jake replied. Sometimes I can't believe it all started with me saying yes, dear, to someone asking for help. Best mistake you ever made, Dr. Barnes said with a laugh. It wasn't a mistake, said another voice. Nithka approached. Them, her skin glowing with the special golden color that Jake had learned meant perfect contentment. It was exactly what was supposed to happen. How can you be so sure? Dr. Barnes asked. Nithka gestured to the busy medical center around them. Human doctors worked alongside Zalathi healers, while Kavari genetics specialists shared techniques with method neural experts. Children from 6 different species played together in the station school. Because, she said, sometimes the best things in life come from the simplest acts of kindness. Jake offered to help when I asked for assistance. Everything else grew from that one moment of choosing to care about someone else. That evening, Jake and Nithka sat in their favorite spot overlooking the medical center's main garden. They had been officially bonded in both human and Zalathi ceremonies 3 years ago, and their quarters were filled with gifts from grateful patients across the galaxy. Any regrets? Jake asked, taking her hand. Only one, Nithka replied. I wish I could go back and thank whoever poisoned the Queen. Jake laughed. That's a weird thing to be grateful for. If the Queen hadn't been sick, we never would have met. You never would have accidentally proposed to me. None of this would have happened. True, Jake said, though I probably could have found a less dramatic way to meet you. Where would be the fun in that? Nithka asked, her skin sparkling with laughter. Just then, Ben Carter's voice came over the communication system. Dr. Morrison, Dr. Nithka, we have an incoming ship. First contact with a species called the Andromedan. They're requesting medical assistance, and they specifically asked for the bonded healers they've heard about. Jake and Nithka looked at each other and smiled. Ready for another adventure? Jake asked. With you? Nithka replied, her skin blazing with happy purple light. Always. As they headed to the docking bay to meet the new aliens, Jake reflected on how much his life had changed. He had started as a simple medic making jokes to deal with stress. Now he was part of something that was changing the galaxy. But the most important change wasn't professional. It was personal. He had learned that love and partnership could exist between any beings who chose to understand and care for each other. Species, culture, even biology didn't matter as much as the decision to build something together. Hey, Nithka, he said as they walked. Yes? Jake grinned. Yes, dear. Her laughter echoed through the corridors as they went to meet their newest challenge together. The end of their story was really just the beginning of something much larger. Across the galaxy, Other species were learning that cooperation was stronger than conflict, that differences were gifts to be shared rather than barriers to be feared. And it all started with a human medic who was willing to help when someone asked, and an alien nurse who was brave enough to hope that understanding was possible. Sometimes the most important words in the universe are the simplest ones. Yes, dear, I'll help.